What is up, everyone? How are you all doing today? My name is Matthew Dale, and I am here to help you play better, sound great, and understand more. Let's go ahead and take a gander at this part in the Eruption solo by Eddie Van Halen. And rather than actually give you just the technique and the tabs and, what finger goes where on which fret, let's actually take a closer look and take a look at some of the harmony that's going on within this part. Now, first and foremost, when we look at this part, it's all triads. Everything that he's tapping here is triads in patterns of 3, kind of moving upwards. So the patterns of 3 are ascending. It's a very slowed down example of that first tapping part. And if we look at the individual notes, I've got a C sharp, an E, and then I'm tapping on a G sharp. And when we combine all those notes together, we get something called a C sharp minor triad. As we move our way up through all the individual licks, now we've moved our G sharp up to an A, so I've got C sharp, E, and then A, and that creates an A major triad. Now, this next one can be a little bit confusing. At face value, it could actually be seen as a D sharp diminished triad. So D sharp, F sharp, and then A. And while that certainly works on paper, it doesn't really give us a sense of what's happening functionally, because the next chord that we're going to is an E major triad, E, G sharp, and B. So really a little bit more of an accurate look on this third tapped arpeggio is actually a B7 chord with no root. Now let's say, for instance, I put the root B in it. It sounds like that B7 chord. So let's just stop there for a second, because we've got C sharp minor, A, B7, although we're not tapping any root, but that's okay. It's an implied root, and then E. And a really quick way of establishing what key you're in is looking at, if you have 3 major chords or 3 major triads, the one that isn't next to the other one is going to be what key you're in. So we have A major, B major, and E major. Well, A and B are right next to each other, so we're actually going to be in the key of E. That's a really handy little trick, and that works, I would say, 90% of the time. The other big trick that we'll see later on is really establishing what the tonal center of the music is. Where does the most resolved note or most resolved chord fall? So if we look at it through the lens of, okay, we're in E major, then C sharp minor is our 6th chord, A is our 4 chord, B7 is our 5 chord, and that's where 7 chords typically exist. E is our 1 chord. And now we have a little bit of what would be called modal mixture, or some borrowed chords, because now we're tapping on E, G, natural, and C. That creates a C major chord. And then we have F sharp, A, and D. That creates a D major chord. And then we have this next one, G sharp, B, and E. And that's just like what we said earlier. That's another E major chord. So if we continue looking at this through the number system, we've got 6, 4, 5. Now, typically, what we have in E major is a C sharp minor chord, but now we don't have C sharp minor, we've got a C major. So this is actually being borrowed from the E natural minor scale. It's a C major chord, and that would be called flat 6 major in the number system. When we move up to D, this would be flat 7 major. And then finally, everything resolving back to E, our 1 chord. And again, that feels like the most resolved place to end. Now, I also realize that he is tuned down a half step, so we would be, sonically hearing that in E flat, but I'm tuned in standard, so I'm playing in E. So I hope you found that interesting, taking a closer look at that particular part in Eruption. Of course, that's probably the most famous part that we all anticipate someone to play when they play Eruption, and now you know it a little bit better. Now, the thing that I really like about this part is its really clever use of triads. The more you know about triads, the more you will know about all music in general. And if you want to get to know triads on a much deeper level, then you should head down to the description box below and download my Essential Music Theory cheat sheet. This makes all of music theory, including triads, a much simpler task to understand. Once again, I hope you found that interesting. My name is Matthew Dale, and I'm here to help you play better, sound great, and understand more, and I'll see you in the next video.